to make a hole if you do. Sometimes when you come up to the gristle, you just got to kind of re-angle your knife, and that usually takes care of the problem. You know, and, sometimes if you get a point where it's like it's just not coming off, change the angle of the pelt, and a lot of times that'll do it. I usually work from the head down, obviously. You know, it's just the way I work. Most people do that too, so I don't have a proper fleshing beam, because you could probably do this in about 5 minutes on a proper fleshing beam, but this is just how I do it for the poor man's way. So all you lucky guys out there with a good fleshing beam, you say just make one. Well, when you have the time to make stuff, it's no problem. I never have time to do stuff like that, so I just got to work with what I got. But it works, you know, like it all works. But yeah, good. If I was making the money with the fur, I would definitely invest. Two things: you need a shop where it's warm enough to work, not hot, but not freezing. So when it's minus 40 out and you're trying to flesh an animal, you know, you don't have to keep bringing him back in every 5 minutes. You know what I mean, to warm him up, because he's completely frozen. But however, when the animal is slightly frosted, as I'll say, not frozen to the point where you can't move the pelt, but just frozen enough where the meatsicles come off really. You know, if it was just about a couple of degrees cooler right now, it would be really, really, really good for fleshing. So there is that kind of right around zero is kind of right at the perfect fleshing temperature, where it's, you know, it's frozen but it's not hardening up. It's just, yeah, and then stuff just kind of like peels off so much easier. Get all this here. So again, don't go at it fast, just take your time. That way you're less likely to put holes in there and stuff. I think I'm at the leg. There's the leg right there, so I'm just gonna, again, try to keep her as clean as I can. Wipe things down. Gotta remind yourself to wipe things down sometimes there, but that's one coming nice. There's some of the cartilage stuff. Go get all this right here. So I don't know how much this little guy's gonna be worth. Probably not very much, because he's definitely not prime. And it's better when I got it all stretched out and dried for a day or two to show you how to tell if your pelt is prime or not. Usually early season, you know it's not going to be prime just because it's early season. But if you can't tell and you're, you know, trying to grade your own furs, just to get an idea of what you have, there is a way to do it, and it's not that hard. It's just a matter of oh yeah, there's all this stuff over here. There is a way to do it, and there's a way to do it so that you can categorize your furs too. Make the grading purpose, you know, like stick all your really good furs together so nobody misses anything, right? You got to understand, when they're grading the furs, you're talking a couple of, well, maybe not in this day and age, but sometimes they'll get a million beavers, you know, up at the fur harvester's auction, right? Right now, there's only one harvesting, the only fur trade auction house that survived the COVID thing was Fur Harvester's Auction, and yeah, they're the only ones that survived. The two big ones in the States, they went belly under, but a lot of people said that was more from bad management of they overinvested in fox and mink ranchers, which was a bad idea to begin with, because you don't know what the demand for fur is going to be. A couple of years ago, muskrats were like $16 a muskrat, like, considering they're normally $2 or $3 a piece. Well, guess what? Now they can't barely sell them because that market is saturated. The Chinese government was buying beaver, almost all the beavers they could get for the military, right? So for the big military hats. And as you would imagine, like anything, the demand, you know, the crazed demand that you get the first time around, you know, like as fast as it comes in is as fast as it goes out. But right now there's hardly any trappers because it went such a bust. But that's the nature of trapping: break bust, break bust. You will get times where like 2014 was really good. I was getting some nice numbers on my pelts. I was getting $100 beavers. And they weren't phenomenal beavers. They were just average sized. It's just the pelts were really nice and the market went up. Now I don't get that anymore. You know, it's not happening anymore. So, okay, get this. That's one thing about these little guys. They can be really tricky to get around the leg here. You just don't want to, just to get them to stay. You don't want to stay. Well, I'll go back to the hind leg then. Can't get the front leg, I'll go back to the hind leg. Get this, at least get this meaty stuff all done there. A little bite mark hole there. Get all this off. There we go. Ooh. There we go. So yeah, like this is a conservation beaver, meaning it was a nuisance to a client of mine because their lake is getting, they don't have a beach anymore. The beavers have gotten it up so high, you know, everything up so high, right? So here, I'll get this there. See, take that off. So anyway. Off. Get around the hind leg here if I can. Oh yeah, I see all like this here. There. So take that all off the hind leg. Look how nice and clean that is now. Right off to the edge. Big old chunk like that. Much as that as possible. I'll come back to this in a moment. My goal is to get it all the way around the leg. On the bigger beavers, the chunks that come off, it'll probably almost fill this pail. But this guy was about 10 pounds or so. He was pretty small. Poor little guy. So even if you can't get him in the first fleshing, I usually like to do 2 fleshings. Get like all the really heavy stuff off on the first one, and then the next day kind of clean them up a bit more. I find that works really well. So yeah, I'll get this. Yeah, I see all that there. Get all that. I'm trying to get all this grease and oil off. Get right near the edge as much as possible there. And once you kind of get that edge off, it seems like the rest just kind of rubs off pretty easy. Stuff right around the very butt there. We'll use something else for that. Use the knife again for that. Again, a lot of people try to rush at this stuff, and yeah, they'll break records skinning beavers, but they'll have cuts. The pelt will be all full of grease. You know. Now, just right here, there's always a little hole on the beaver legs. I don't know why, but it always seems to show up there on both sides. Just be careful that you don't make it big. But usually when you tie up the leg, you tie that part up anyway so they don't see it. So, if you see it for the first time, don't worry about it, is what I'm saying. Okay. So look here. This head thing is. So again, we'll just try to see if we can get the leg cleaned up. Get on the face. Yeah, the face is hard, especially when they're small like this. It's like try to get them.